Donc là, c'est parti pour les haltères. Let's go.
About human economic behavior. One of Smith's universal laws was that man is basically a calculating, self-interested being. He implied that as individuals, we hold little regard for the community, and therefore that markets are mankind's best hope for channeling behaviors for the good of all society. This belief largely stemmed from assumptions that Smith and modern economists make about the way people behave. Indeed, many scholars suggest that free markets and other modern economic concepts already operated in the very distant past. Historians, on the other hand, question the value of posing universal laws of human behavior and question even their existence. For the economic historian, explanation is the overriding concern. Rather than tying ourselves to abstract laws or confining human nature to straitjackets of self-interest, historians prefer to dig into the sources. We want to see how things work in practice in order to come to a better understanding of why people act the way they do. In a general sense, economic history concerns itself with the ways that mankind has structured his environment in the past in order to provide food, shelter, and clothing. In other words, we're interested in examining the process through which society provides for its material well-being. Now, let's face it, this doesn't sound too terribly stimulating compared to some other historical topics like politics and power, glory and warfare, faith and ideology. At the same time, the basic economic worries of finding food and providing for one's welfare are so much part of human existence that economic history is the study of power, glory, and ideology. I'm reminded of the slogan, "It's the economy, stupid," coined by President Clinton's presidential campaign advisor, James Carville, in the 1990s, when he tried to keep staffers on message. It would not be off-mark to state quite boldly that the study of economic history is the study of human survival. The implication is that we will need to take account of all human characteristics and how these characteristics shape our behaviors. In economic history, we concern ourselves with the interplay between economic and social, political, and cultural behaviors. This makes studying economic history a pretty broad undertaking. Now, on the other hand, economic history is not the examination of the history of economics as an academic discipline, and we will only lightly touch on the history of economic thought. We will focus on what happened in the past rather than what people thought about what happened in the past. Even so, we can't ignore economic theories, but they'll play a very small role in our discussion of economic history. So what are the central concepts of economic history? Well, as with anything else, that depends on whom you ask. The late Nobel Prize-winning economic historian Douglas North suggested that what is of particular concern to the economic historian is explaining the structure of the institutional structures that underlie and account for the performance of an economic system and how these institutions change over time. For economic historian Rondo Cameron, the most pressing concern was to explain the origins of unequal levels of development in the world. While we will touch on many of the concerns that Douglas North and Rondo Cameron raised, I think the charge that David Landis gave to economic historians is the most useful for this course. Landis was a professor of history at Harvard who wanted economic historians to trace and understand the main streams of economic advances and modernization. That is, how mankind came to where and what we are in the sense of making, getting, and spending. So we will need to ask some important questions if we're to understand these main streams of economic history. And these are questions that we can ask about the present as well as about the past. For example, first, what was produced? Even the most primitive societies had to grapple with this question. Primitive societies might think of it in terms of what they could hunt, what they would plant. When I was growing up, that was a question that my family asked each spring when it came time to plant our vegetable garden. And it's a question I ask my family even today when we plant our garden. And I will tell you that I keep planting turnips.
Je vais continuer à publier les vidéos. Donc, il faut que je vérifie où on en est. C'est quoi ça? Bon, désolé. Hein. Ok, donc si c'est sec. Ok, alors c'est parti pour la crème. Je valide. Préservez votre dos. Il est super efficace. Ok, alors 33-26, j'imagine que c'est celle-là, voyons voir. Pourvu que ce soit celle-là, pitié. Avec ma crème, je sais pas si je l'ai ramenée. La crème. Ok, c'est bon, alors 26. Ça en fera des vidéos, purée. Peut-être qu'il vaut mieux que je publie juste une journée, j'en sais rien. La 33-26, c'est quoi? En soin de sa tête. De sa tête. Partie 2. Ouais, parce que si je fais ça tous les jours, mon Dieu. Ok. Et ça, j'en profite. J'en vais te donner un coup. Bim, bim, bim. Hop. 40. Et de son dos. Ok. Parce que c'est vrai que les gens parlent, donnent des conseils, mais on les voit jamais dans leur vie quotidienne. C'est facile de faire un tas de blabla. Que des belles paroles. C'est vrai que ça prend du temps par contre. Ça prend du temps. Hop. Ok, on va pouvoir écouter le monsieur, je crois. Donc là, on est à la 40. Ok. De ce fait, il vaut mieux se méfier. Et je ne prétends pas être meilleur que les autres. Donc peut-être que moi aussi, je suis des fois dégueulasse. J'espère que non. J'ai toujours essayé de faire en sorte que ce ne soit pas le cas. C'est pour ça que j'expose ma vie publiquement. Parce que je pense que je suis suffisamment, entre guillemets, clean. Même si j'ai commis plein d'erreurs. Hein. Alors là, devait être tellement insupportable. Parce que pour être un conquérant pareil, il faut avoir un sacré caractère. Et ce... Donc on est reparti. Fless. Comment il s'appelle? Et donc 52. Attends, je t'épargne ça. Je suis en train de regarder la fin de Godzilla numéro 2 par inadvertance. C'est ouf. Vous êtes sûr que c'est le même film?
Jesus. Good thing he's on our side.
For now. Look.
Ok. Bon. Ben, j'espère que j'ai compté pas le voir, mais, waouh. D'accord. 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 T'es prêt pour la suite? On continue de s'entraîner? Allez, pendant que ça édite, nous on va se démener. Let's go.
Dame la ciencia.
Pull up, faux départ. C'est comme ça qu'on démarre.
Dame la ciencia.